your employer to set it up.
Okay, so that's very, and I know that, we had both of you up a few years ago in Northern Michigan, and you met with different employers to talk about that deduction program. It was it's been very well utilized. Now, okay, so what we've got in regards to the program. So one of the suggestions you talked about this collaboration is that you buy your tuition through them at a low cost, and then you save the books and the housing expenses. Now, when we're talking about this in the process, can you, like, if you're going to go into the Michigan tooling program, learning to be a machine tooler, they can buy that if that's through a community college.
Yes,
Okay.
and get a refund from Met.
Okay.
If it's a tooling program, it depends on where it's being offered. If it's being offered at a community college, you're just using your Met at that community college for that tooling program. If it's trucking school or something that just is going to produce a certification and not a degree, then Met is a little bit different in that you would just ask for a refund, take that refund, and pay those expenses.
Yeah.
But because we're 529, you're not going to have any tax on that as long as the school is accredited anywhere in the nation. You'll just take your refund and use it for that purpose.
Okay. But Mark, when we wrote the legislation, I understand you can, if you need equipment, computers, tooling,
Absolutely.
that's
Yes.
the beauty of your program.
And you can use MESP for much more than tuition, as you noted, also for room and board, books, mandatory fees, and mandatory equipment. If you need to purchase a certain amount of equipment for your tooling class, no problem.
Okay.
And again, going back to your example, let's say if the tooling program is being offered through a company that has been accredited by the Federal Department of Education, and that is made eligible to provide federal financial aid, you can use MESP to pay for your expenses at that school.
Now, on that level, the governor's talked about sort of international studies, and she's been very supportive of, trying to create opportunities for so many of our youth to go. How does that work if you're taking let's say, Michigan State, and you decide to study abroad for a semester? How does that work?
It works beautifully because most of the public colleges in Michigan have something called a study abroad program. So in the Met world, we're just actually paying the MSU tuition as though you're going there, and they apply it to your studies abroad. So it's not a problem at
Very
all.
good. And then from your guys' perspective?
With MESP, believe it or not, last time I checked, there were approximately 500 schools abroad that were eligible under federal statute. Now, in most cases, the student is attending an American school and, of course, would be paying American tuition. But for a number of individuals who are working here from abroad, which I've seen a fair amount of that in engineering firms, they actually could use MESP to save to send their children to school back in their home countries.
Okay. And then if we're doing a study abroad, can you use MESP to help to pay for transportation to the college? How does it?
Unfortunately, transportation is not written into Section 529. That occurred at the federal level, not at the state level.
But you could do all the board and those types
Absolutely.
of things. So just about anything else as far as the programs go.
And also in the Met world, if your student wasn't going to participate in a study abroad program that was being hosted through a public college, they also have that flexibility where we pay directly to the out-of-country school, and we are making payments currently.
Wonderful.
We have to go a little bit to identify the payment methods. Most of them will accept U.S. dollars, but there is occasion where we have to translate. And
My goodness.
yeah, it's a little difficult, but we work it out. It's not that many.
So how many students do you have, or how many subscriptions do you have in the MET program?
We have over 79,000 contracts that have been purchased. We have over 35,000 that have been completely utilized and all paid in full.
Wow.
Or the Met guarantee has been provided, and we have probably 16,000 that are actually in payment status. They're either attending Michigan Public or out of state. I think about 15% of that is out of state. The vast majority are staying in state.
Wonderful. Now the typical enrollment, is it, you talked about it, is it grandchildren that are being purchased for, or is it parents buying for their kids?
Still parents, but we're seeing an increase in grandparents. We're still seeing about 82 to 84% of our purchasers are parents, which is amazing. But the number or percentage of grandparents that are purchasing is starting to increase.
Okay.
Yes.
So for like this year, for 30 credit hours, what does that cost?
That cost
If you're
for
a
30
newborn.
If you're a newborn,
Right.
you're going to pay about $11,000 for a one-year full benefits contract. But if you were going to purchase a limited benefits contract, then you pay a little bit less, at about
Now, how does that work?
$8,500.
What is a limited benefits?
Oh, yes. Good,
You forgot
good
to
question.
mention
yes,
that.
Yes, I did. Limited benefits contract covers the student at any college whose tuition does not exceed 105% of the weighted. What does that mean? That means this year it doesn't fully cover the student at MSU or U of M Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Where full benefits does, you go to U of M, 30 credits. But if you had a limited and went to U of M this fall, it would be covering 24 instead of 30.
Okay.
At MSU, 27 instead of 30. Every year we recalculate, so it could be more colleges that are out of formula, or it could be less. But typically, historically, it's always been the two.
Okay.
But the dollar amount, I mean, the number of credits could also change. You could vary from 22 credits at U of M up to 25 at U of M. So depending on what those figures flesh out to be in the year that your child is ready to go, that's the number of credits
Okay.
they would get if they had a limited.
Okay.
And then the refund provisions that we talked about earlier, if they go out of state, instead of average tuition, we base it on lowest tuition if you had
Okay.
a limited benefits
Okay.
contract. So just a little bit difference other than price, which is a big difference.
And what are the differences in price?
So the differences are in price are the 1 year, and you can buy as little as one semester. So you could buy 15 credit hours, but we'll talk about 1 year. It's easier to explain. 1 year being equivalent to 30 credits. For community college, 2,512.
Wow.
I mean, for 1 year, we could get you in at $24 a month if you had a newborn and you wanted to buy it over 15 years.
Wow.
If you had a limited benefits,
Okay, so just so this, you subscribe at
$24 a month.
$2,400, and that's locked in, and
Oh,
then you
yes,
can pay
yes.
for that in time.
You could take that $2,500 and pay for it over time. Keeping in mind, if you are paying for it over time, we do have an inflationary factor built in, so you would pay a little bit more than that. But it still gives you that flexibility and opportunity to either pay for it monthly or biweekly through payroll, or whatever your payroll is. The limited benefits contract, $8,576, buys you a 1 year limited. That's at today's rate, again, 30 credits if they go to an in-formula college. And then for that full benefits for a newborn is actually, I'm quoting the wrong prices, I apologize.
Oh, don't worry.
$2,620 for community college, we're backing up.
All right.
$8,966 for limited, and $11,112 for full benefits.
Very good. Now, Mark, we talked a little bit about sort of these different investment options, and it's interesting. Both of you have got very good websites,
Thank you.
but it's just to help clarify things. You can be very conservative and very liberal. Can you kind of go through how you touched on a little bit on how this investment choices that parents can make?
Absolutely, and thank you. The truth is that we have something for, we really do have something for everybody, starting on the very conservative side with the principal plus interest option, in which we guarantee you will have your principal there, come H or high water, and we will pay a guaranteed amount of interest, which we will set annually. And then then we move up from there. We begin to, we do have bond funds available. We also have a balanced option, which is internally diversified. That means you have a good percentage of that is in equity-based mutual funds, a sliver in real estate securities, not mortgages, but in the companies that manage real estate. And of course, then you have bonds and a bit in money market, so that you have that internal diversification, because it is terribly, terribly important to not put all of your eggs in one basket, to have a well-diversified portfolio. And then all the way up to the high equity options, which we have one that is 100% based on equities or equity-based mutual funds.